How are you?
Good, how you doing, sir?
Good, I'm Jeremy.
Jeremy Kevin Kovac with
Nice to
CBN.
meet you.
It's my partner, Matt Saylor.
Nice to meet you.
There you go.
Okay.
Saylor.
Hey.
Hi. Don't hurt you. There you go.
She can pretend she's bigger than she is.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Kevin.
I'm
Jennifer, nice to meet you. Where's McKenna? Hi, McKenna.
There she is.
I'm Kevin.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Matt.
I just want to talk to her alone. I think Matt wants to speak with you.
Hard right office.
That'd be great.
Yep.
You okay with that?
Yep.
All right. You're not in trouble.
No.
Hi, what's your name? Hayden? That's a cool name. I'm not even gonna ask your name.
Kyle.
Kyle.
You're 4? Are you the one that just had a birthday?
It's okay for me.
It's
Fine.
okay.
No, he's not.
Guys,
He's just a big puppy and he
Yeah.
jumps a
can
lot.
you come to my other birthday?
You have another birthday?
Yeah, you come to it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Are you having a party?
Sunday.
Sunday. Wow.
I'll be this much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Next year you'll be 5, yeah.
He's just going to skip that, go right to 5.
Then,
Do you guys mind if I talk to you guys real
Not at
quick?
all. Not at all. Yeah.
Sit down if that's all right.
Yeah, no problem.
Go, buddy, go. You have to stay up here, okay? Because it's not for you. You stay out here, okay? Yeah. Here. Go, you got your best?
Yeah.
Sit down and get watch this one.
Okay, can I get your name again?
It's Jeremy.
Jeremy?
Yep. Lindstrom, Landstron.
What's the date of birth for you?
10/1977.
And your name is?
Jennifer Lindstrom.
And date of birth?
7/1/81.
What's the phone number for you, sir? And the address here was, what was your son's name again?
Hayden.
Caden.
Kaden.
And he's the one that just had a birthday?
Yeah.
And so his party was last
Sunday.
This
Just the
Sunday.
Sunday, like 2 days ago. Okay.
August 12th.
And my understanding is that Chris was here for that?
Yes.
Okay. How do you guys know
With both
him?
girls.
With both
I
girls?
worked with them at Longmont Ford.
You work with?
I worked with Chris and
Oh.
Shanann both.
Okay.
When they got out here from North Carolina, that's the dealership that brought them out here.
Oh, okay.
But they haven't worked there in several years.
Yeah.
You know when last? How long ago they quit working there?
She left before he did to work at Children's Hospital.
She left when she was pregnant with Bella.
Yeah, so
And
4
Bella-
years
yeah,
ago.
4 years ago.
4 years.
4
Okay.
or 5 years ago.
I would guess his was probably 2 or 3 years ago, because she got him the job with the oil field instead of making more money, and he went.
But they both moved out here to work there at the dealership from.
He did, and she just got a job there because
Okay.
she didn't have anything else going on.
I just leave Kylie.
So how long ago did they move out here? Roughly.
I would say,
6, 7 years.
yeah, I was gonna say probably 2010-ish, give or take, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, because it was a couple years before Bella was born. She was born in 2013.
Had to have been around 2010,
Yeah, or 11.
somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's been several years.
You guys been friends with them that whole time?
Yeah,
Are you kind of casual friends? Are you guys like good friends with them? Do you hang out with them a lot?
it's kind of one of those, like, you've got a best friend and you only see each other a few times a year, but nothing leaves off.
Right.
If
Okay.
you like, Birthday parties, we always see them for their birthday parties, maybe a couple barbecues a year.
Came on Father's Day for a barbecue.
Yep. Yep.
And so Chris was here with both Bella and CC.
Yep.
What was his demeanor when he was here?
Normal.
Okay.
He's always kind of a quiet dude. Doesn't show emotion very much. Yeah.
Just watching after the girls mostly.
Okay. How many people were here roughly?
Stephen Bree, Taylor, Jordan, Emmett, us, and then just kids.
Less than
Like-
20.
Yeah, most of our neighbors were out of town.
Yeah,
It's like
less than-
5 or 6 adults and a bunch of kids.
Yeah, 5 or 6 kids.
Yeah.
Bella, Buddy, Emmett, Kylie Austin was over here.
So is Jackson. Like 2 seconds.
Bring it back to Fortnite.
Do you want to eat this, buddy? Do you want me to open this? Kylie, can you open this with this?
Before Sunday, when was the last time you talked to either Chris or?
I guess it would have been Saturday. Maybe Friday, because he texted me to see if McKenna could watch the girls so he could go to the Rockies game. He won tickets at work or something.
Oh, okay.
And then I texted him on Saturday and said, hey, I just got Broncos tickets. If you want to go with me to the Broncos game instead. But he said, no, his work would get mad if he didn't use the tickets. So
Mom.
Yeah.
All my toys are blowing away.
No, it's the Rockies game on Sunday,
Saturday.
Saturday.
Mom, look at those things going.
What is it?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's looking nasty. It's northwest of here. It's dark.
It dodges us pretty much every time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I sure
good.
just popped out in front of the door.
Oh, the Broncos played Saturday night, didn't they? That's right.
Yep, there was
Okay.
both games
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Okay. Do you know who he went to the Rockies game with?
No idea.
But he won tickets at work.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And your daughter babysat for him?
Yes.
McKenna, right?
Yeah.
Is that MCKE?
KENNA.
Look at it.
Oh, purple.
Did she say anything about how that went Saturday?
No, normal. She said that the kids just sleep. So it was easy.
You know what time she went over there?
I dropped her off. She's supposed to be there at 4:30, and I dropped her off at 4:25.
Okay. And did you guys go pick her up?
I did.
Okay. What time was that?
Well, I left here around 10 because she said Chris would probably be home around 10.
Okay.
So I left around 10. I got there, I don't know what, less than 10 minutes later, and I had him with me because they were at the game. He fell asleep in the car, so I Snapchatted her and asked her if Chris was home yet, and she said no. I said, okay, well, I'm just gonna sit in the car with him because he's sleeping, and then Chris pulled out probably about 15 minutes later, around 10:30ish.
Okay. Did you talk to him at all?
No,
No.
He went in and went in the garage. I don't even think he noticed I was parked out there.
Oh, okay.
And then, he went in just a couple minutes later, he kind of came out.
Okay. Do you know what car he was driving that night?
The white Lexus.
White Lexus.
SUV.
You said he went in through garage. Is that how they normally get into out of the house?
Yeah. I think so. And then when McKenna came out, she came out the front door, and the dog ran out after her. So I saw Chris coming outside, trying to get the dog.
Mom.
Did he park in the garage? Okay. said the kids just kind of slept the whole time.
Well, they have a very regimented schedule. So their bedtime is 7. And Chris had ordered pizza for them, McKenna said, and I think they, the pizza got there a while after she got there. They ate, played for a little bit, and then it was time for her to get ready for bed.
Okay.
And I think she said that Cece went to sleep, but then Bella had come downstairs and said she couldn't sleep, so McKenna had her just come sit downstairs with her for a few minutes, and then she went back upstairs and was able to fall asleep. She said they're really easy to watch compared to
These monsters.
who does not go to bed.
No.
Or,
Do you know Bella not being able to sleep, is that normal? Or did she say why? She didn't say anything.
She would say.
Okay. You said the dog ran out the front door? What kind of dog do they have?
A little wiener dog.
Oh, okay.
His name is Peter, I think.
Yeah.
Peter.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Peter.
Dieter?
Yeah. I have no idea how you spell
Like
that,
Deter?
but yeah.
Sure.
That's how it sounds anyway, right? Okay. Do you have any other pets?
I don't think so. Shanann's parents lived with them like last year, and they had a couple dogs, but those dogs left with their parents.
Okay.
So it's just the one.
Did you guys talk to Chris on Sunday at the party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything different or
No.
any unusual conversations?
No, he was talking to us about they knew the gender of the baby, but it's in the
The
envelope.
reveal party's supposed to be
Yeah.
this week.
So they're
Oh,
supposed to reveal
okay.
the gender this week because they have 2 girls. So that'd be cool if it was a boy. I asked him if they needed a crib because we still have his old crib, and I know they got rid of all their baby stuff.
Check
for
the
girls.
top spot. I can smell them.
So he said no, we have that taken care of.
Said they still have one in the basement.
Yeah. So yeah, we were just watching the girls. Cece had towards the end of the party, Cece was on the rock climbing thing, and she kind of slid down
Mhm.
and was crying. So Chris, ran over and helped her and
Okay.
said she wanted her blanket, so her blanket wasn't here.
Mhm.
So he was having kind of a rough time getting her to calm down.
Oh,
But
okay.
then eventually she did.
How do you do with that?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's always been good with that. It's,
Yeah. He's really
we always,
hands-on.
yeah, we've always just referred him as the mellow guy.
Yeah, and Shanann had mentioned like we weren't planning on having a 3rd kid, but then Chris said he wanted one, and she said that she agreed to it because she knows like what a hands-on dad that he is, and so if it got if it got busy or overwhelming, that she knew that he'd always be there to help.
So it was kind of his idea to have the 3rd kid?
That's what she had mentioned on Father's Day.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my gosh, you're pregnant, congratulations. I didn't know you guys were trying or gonna have another one. And she's like, yeah, we kind of decided, Chris was saying a lot of another one. So
Did she seem excited about it?
yeah.
Yeah.
She said she was pregnant because her prior pregnancy, she's had health issues in the past. So her prior pregnancies, she's had, not feeling well.
Let Sharon
and
go.
sickness, and she said that so far she's feeling really good. So,
No, sir.
and I'm assuming she continued to feel good because she's been traveling a lot.
But
Mm-hmm. The prior pregnancy, do you know what kind of, just like morning sickness you mean, or like other health issues?
Well, she said that she had lupus, yeah, and fibromyalgia. So she had just a lot of body pain.
she gets migraines a lot.
Migraines.
Before they had Bella, she mentioned that the doctor said she'd never even be able to have kids.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah. she had, those problems.
Mhm.
But I know that her,
She's always been a little weird to me by way of,
health issues,
yeah.
and the girls have health issues too, which isn't, I mean,
Well, and she calls herself Shanann, but her mom calls her Shannon.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's got a little bit of a rebellious.
yeah,
That's not her
Okay.
name. It's Shanann.
yeah.
Like she changed the enunciation of it.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
I was wondering about that because it's kind of spelled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we only knew that because her mom came over here for barbecue one day
And called
and called her Shannon. I'm like, your mom named you, dude.
Yeah.
That's how your name was.
Yeah.
But she's very meticulous with everything.
Mm.
I don't know if you walk around their house or not, but she's got labels and storage containers in the walk-in pantry.
McKenna said it
Everything's
wasn't
in a certain place.
wasn't quite as organized. Yeah, she's like, when we first moved in here, she kept asking us if we wanted
she
help
could come over and
unpacking
organize.
and organizing.
Oh,
She just
really?
really likes
OCD about it.
stuff to be in its place and clean and.
Very particular.
Is there any other kind of way she was different? You said she's kind of a different.
Just particular about a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Like just with organizing, everything had to be clean. I picked Chris up one night to take him to the airport late, and he couldn't leave the house to go to the airport until he was done cleaning up the basement. It's very controlling in that way.
Okay.
So we always thought, man, he's just got to be a really good dude to she found the right guy.
Yeah.
If she's going to be that personality,
Right.
she's found the right
She's
personality.
like the type A, and like I always said, they could never be married because he has that same like way about him.
Right.
They would just
Butt heads.
So
Yeah, I mean, even at work, they would hand her his check.
Oh, really?
yeah, like she handled all the finances.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything.
But there was never anything like more than just that's their personality.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like mean about it or just.
What is that?
It's just windy, dude.
And like when both Bella and
It's
Cece
just
were
the right
babies,
angle.
she had them on this regimen called, I think it's like Baby Sense or something, where every day they did the same thing at the same time so that she could get them on like a set.
I think our eye will blue.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And that's how they go to bed. Like,
Oh, it did?
and now they
I
know
don't
every night. They know they have to go turn on their
Where's the
white
swimming
noise
pool, bud?
machine and
It wasn't
get in their bed. And kind of said they
Okay.
both went to the bathroom by themselves and they didn't even have to go to the bathroom, which she found pretty impressive for a 3 or
Right.
4-year-old.
Huh,
Especially again,
okay.
because this guy's not potty trained. So she's like, yeah.
So the
She's
fact
like, compared to him, they were like super easy to watch.
But that's her style of, and she's very consistent with everything.
Yeah.
She's the one that can come up with an idea and she will stick it out.
Okay.
Yeah, like this whole drive thing. I mean,
She's been doing that.
she's stuck to it for a long time, and
She's doing good
She's doing
because she's
good.
consistent.
yeah,
There's not a lot of consistent people in the world that can
Yeah.
follow. Like, oh, I'm going to do this week and actually do it.
yeah.
Ooh, I
That
saw
just sucks
lightning.
that she's missing.
You said she handled the finances. Do you know what their finances were like? Were they doing well? Were they in money troubles? Do you have any idea?
No, they at one point before she started doing Thrive and stuff like that, they were a little bit struggling, but since then,
Yeah, and I know that Thrive pays for their car payments because
Yeah.
they earned like a VIP status.
I know she's
level.
very good at she's a couponer, like
Yeah, she always knows.
she watches everything. She pays
Oh,
attention
okay.
to savings.
Yeah.
Like,
But at one point, she had a part-time job at Children's Place, so she could get discount, like maybe just like one day a week, so she could get discounts on clothes for the girls. She wanted them to have
Shit, I'll figure
clothes.
it out.
And I know the Thrive, they would go on trips with Thrive that were
because of
paid,
her accomplishment.
that were paid for. Like sometimes she would just go, but sometimes Chris would go too. Like they went to Dominican Republic, I think.
Oh, really?
She wins the trips every
yeah,
year
she
because
wins
she's
the
focused
trips.
on trying to win.
And some, she tries to have Chris go on the bigger trips, like the nice ones. But sometimes I think she just does conventions, maybe like these smaller trips that she goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But I know her and Chris before she went to
They look good?
visit her mom during the summer. Her and Chris had gone to San Diego on a trip for a few days.
Okay.
McKenna mentioned they were going to Aspen this weekend on Friday. And while she was babysitting, Shanann had texted McKenna and asked if she could babysit the girls again on Friday because they were going to Aspen for the weekend, and whoever was watching the girls couldn't watch them until 7, and they wanted to leave earlier because of traffic. So she was wondering if McKenna could babysit the girls from like 4:30 to 7. And McKenna asked me, and I said that's fine. She would just have to pick you up because I won't be home from work until 5, but then I could pick you up
Right. Mm-hmm.
At 7.
Okay.
And she told Shanann that, and Shanann said, okay, well, we'll talk about it, later in the week or whatever as it gets closer.
Okay.
And I don't know if the Aspen trip was,
Well, she was just in North Carolina for like 5 weeks
yeah,
before Arizona.
Uh-huh.
without Chris,
Okay.
with her parents. But I think
And
Chris
the kids.
came at the end on Facebook. I saw them like at the beach, and Chris was there. So
Do you guys know what that was about?
I don't know. No idea.
But she's
I remember when they were here on Father's Day, she said she was going to be gone.
Yeah,
So invite Chris over so he's not bored at home.
yeah. And I don't know. She's never gone on a trip that long before.
But it's not unnormal. Her parents lived with her for a year, and then she had a friend from Hawaii come out for like 6 months or something.
Oh, really?
So it's not uncommon for them
Yeah. Oh yeah, but
to do those long trips.
the girl from Hawaii came out though because Shanann had neck surgery.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't going to be able to lift the girls.
Oh,
and with
okay.
Chris at work, she needed help.
That's
Gotcha.
right.
I think that girl came out because her husband was on a deployment or something. So she's like,
Mm.
yeah, sure, I'll come out and help you. I don't have anything else going on. So she's met all like different people from Thrive that like we don't know of.
Mhm.
Never met. The only one we met from Thrive is the girl that when she was visiting from Hawaii, and that was last summer.
Okay. So you said she's kind of a very regimented person.
Yeah.
Is that true, like in her schedule too? And, I mean, is she kind of a person of habit? She does the same thing every day?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say yes. That's why it was weird that the kids didn't show up at school. Because she's not the person that the kids wouldn't have been brought on their first day of school.
Okay, you probably have to enjoy it. Yeah.
When was the first day of school? Yesterday?
And our neighbors go to school. Their kid goes to school with their kid.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, yeah, I didn't see him there.
And she'll always post on Facebook. Like she's a big Facebook poster
Mm-hmm.
to the point sometimes where people are like, okay, like
Yeah.
overkill. But she'll
Block
post,
her for a
yeah,
while.
like
Yeah.
she'll post the girls like hugging each other before school and look at the cute outfit I put them in, and or she'll post a long list of before I took the girls to school, because of my Thrive, I was able to do laundry,
Oh,
vacuum, like
gotcha.
get all this stuff done
Mhm.
before I would leave.
She does like people to know what she's doing.
Yeah. Or if she's, making something that she's proud of for food, she'll post it on there of, look at my homemade thing, that's been in my family for this long. And like when Bella was a baby, she'd always be posting homemade baby food and Bella eating baby food. And like, she just really, when
She likes to share everything.
she likes to share everything. She's a very open book.
So it would definitely be out of character for her to just disappear like this.
Yes.
And yeah, and without her phone, like, that's
Without
a-
her phone, her purse, her car seats, car,
yeah.
and like I was thinking it would be out of character for her to even go on a morning walk, to go outside and not have anything with her and then
Mhm.
Yeah.
come up missing.
Like Shanann's a person, if you text her, she always has her phone with her and she'll text you right back. Like
Okay.
she
Always has her phone.
always has her phone.
How did you guys learn that she didn't have that stuff now?
I went over to Chris's last night. I know him
Okay.
well enough. It's like when I saw her mom post on Facebook
Yeah.
that Shanann was missing,
Uh-huh.
We're like,
I read it like 6 times and I'm like, what is this?
yeah, like is
And I
this
looked at her and I said, I think Shanann's missing with the girls.
and like
And so I called over there because another one of our friends, Dave, lives in the neighborhood. And I'm like, you're closer than I am. Go knock on his door and see what's going on. you know, and he texted me back and he goes, yeah, it's for real. And I was in my truck and I'm like,
Because we thought maybe her
I'm
mom
going
was,
over there.
her mom's in North Carolina, so maybe her mom just doesn't know all the pieces of the story and is being, you know, freaked out.
and we look at the clock, it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I'm
And
like,
I'm
no,
like,
those
no.
kids are asleep at
Mhm.
7.
Yeah, those kids are not in their bed. That's a big deal.
And so I was in it and I was there and, you know, it was like, I was like, because it's either him or Dave said, yeah, she doesn't have her phone. She doesn't have her car. Car's in the garage. And I get over there and I'm like, do you have her phone? Look at her phone. Who did she text? Who called her? Or who she call? He's like, cops already took the phone. I said, okay, so they're going to look through the phone. I'm like, she texted me, are the car seats in the car? It's like, I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
so I'm like,
That's what I
maybe
said, the
she
car
has
seats?
Uber pick her up or you know.
Yeah, I'm like, if she just said she's out, then, I mean, normally people that are out, they're at least going to take their phone and car
Right.
seats and
Yeah, and the kids'
some
medication.
kid stuff. And yeah,
Cece is highly allergic to certain things, like anaphylactic.
because that was my first thing. I was like,
Anaphylactic
the
allergic.
kid doesn't have
Yeah.
their medicines. And then I asked Chris, I'm like, she left the medicine too? Like, he's like, well, we have spare medicine in the basement, so she could have taken something.
Okay.
But I don't know. I didn't want to grill him with questions because obviously he's
Yeah.
going through something and doesn't need to hear it from 37
Right.
people. I'm like, you need anything, dude? I'll stay here the whole night. I don't care.
What was his demeanor like last night?
Just like the blank stare. Just I don't know. My phone's blowing up. He's like, I just want to go finish cleaning and try to go to bed. And I'm like, okay, I guess some people get nervous, get weird, get to start cleaning. I don't know.
Do you think that's a normal reaction?
I don't know. I don't know what people do.
Yeah, everybody
You
reacts
know,
differently. But
yeah.
based on what you know of him, do you
Of
think that's
him?
a
I'm sure he cleans a lot.
yeah?
He does a lot of work around the house, yard work, but more so she'll have her lists that need to be completed. all
He
the
probably
time.
just didn't know what to do with himself.
I'm sure. I was like,
Did he seem concerned?
concerned, yes. Just shock, more of a shock face. Like, it's like I have no idea. I'm like, where would they go? Who would they go to? Like, I mean, I'm the question head. Like, I've got to try to figure this out. That's the way my brain turns into.
Right.
Yeah, and like
Not-
we've been talking about this like nonstop.
Right.
If obviously if things weren't left behind, it would just be like, okay, they're having problems.
Problems, yeah.
She needs a break or whatever. They had a fight.
Did he say anything like that? Like they had a fight or they had a
No.
blowout, or
No,
did he give you an idea of what he thought? I mean, did he
nothing,
say
like,
anything?
nothing. He was on the phone with his mom, and then he's like, "Oh, my mom says everybody's making it look like I did something on Facebook, and I shouldn't even look at Facebook." And I'm like, "Dude," I said, "Should we go look at the park? Should we go walk around? Should we go somewhere?" He goes, "No, the cops told me to stay at the house because I wouldn't even know where to look and what to look for." I'm like, because I always worry, like, what if they went to the pool? I mean, yeah, they probably didn't go to the pool, but what if they did go to the pool and they went in the pool bathroom and the door broke on the inside and they couldn't get out? Like, it's just not normal
Yeah, it's just like
for her to not be there.
trying to piece all this. Like none of it makes
None of it
sense.
makes sense
And
at
that's
all.
like the bottom line. Is none of it makes sense.
And when you know the people, it's even harder to make sense out of it.
Right.
and it's
Facebook, and I'm like, dude, I said, should we go look at the park? Should we go walk around? Should we go somewhere? He goes, no, the cops told me to stay at the house because I wouldn't even know where to look and what to look for. I'm like, because I always worry, like, what if they went to the pool? I mean, yeah, they probably didn't go to the pool, but what if they did go to the pool and they went in the pool bathroom and the door broke on the inside and they couldn't get out? Like, it's just not normal
yeah, it's just like
for her to not be there.
trying to piece all this. Like none of it makes
None of it
sense.
makes sense
And
at
that's
all.
like the bottom line. Is none of it makes sense.
And when you know the people, it's even harder to make sense out of it.
Right.
and it's freaking weird to see their faces
There was a dead bird on the
plastered
driveway.
on the news. To see their faces plastered on the news and be like, we just saw those girls on Sunday. Like since then.
I mean, obviously,
So I'm going to pause you guys and just kind of look at some of the comments. I'll pull the camera up. That's fine. I am taking it easy this week, guys, because I am getting infusions done through an IV. So I'm trying to just take it easy and let's listen back to some of the police interviews of some of the most popular cases that we have covered. And this is the interview with the Lindstrom family. I want to note it has not happened yet, but there is a very interesting part of this interview where it kind of, to me, shows how children can be so intuitive and not even know it. And it's when the Lindstrom's little child says, I picture them in a hole. And everyone in the room is kind of like, that's weird to say. But it's almost crazy to think that this child, for some reason, maybe was tapping in to the girls' energy. The girls may have been sending a message from the other side. I know some people don't believe in that kind of thing, but I think it's fun to talk about and debate and have conversations about. So listen closely to that part of this interview. And I do apologize. Some of the audio is hard to hear, and that is, it is what it is. But yeah, let's continue and I'll come back. We'll have a discussion. And then I was thinking, I'm doing some painting while I listen along and I'm checking comments, but I was thinking we could also listen to the interview I posted last week of Nate, where he is talking to the police by himself. And there's some interesting parts where he talks about how he has had contact with Frank Rusek, and his goal is overall to keep Chris Watts' dad from entering the house. So we'll listen to that after we finish this interview. I think there's about 15 minutes left of this one. Keep chatting, have conversation. We will come back to chat. We'll bring things up. Carrie, you have I think a lot of people have a different thoughts about Nate. Sometimes I think in the beginning of all this, Nate enjoyed the fame that came with this. But then as things went on, he realized, oh shit, this is not good. This is deeper. This is more serious than what I thought it was. There's people who have nicknames for lots of people in this case. There's Nosy Nate, Tam Burglar, Tammy Lee. So yeah, but let's continue this and then I will come back up. We'll chat a little bit and then we will go into the Nate interview.
We were last time to see them all together.
Yeah. But it's just,
So they went home from here and
it makes,
he went to work or whatever, and
I keep trying to think like best case scenario, but I can't stop thinking about where
I
they-
just don't know if she's vindictive enough to do all this just to mess with him or not, you know? But you don't know who's who.
Right.
You really don't. I don't know. There's a million things that could go through your head.
Right.
You want to err on the side of everything's okay, and
Yeah.
she's just being stupid right now. But
But
who
where,
knows?
but where would she go be stupid? Like they don't have family out here.
Right.
It's just friends. And
And some people, I mean, if she's cheating on him or he's cheating on her, and they're telling nobody, then nobody knows any of that.
So neither of them have said anything like that to either of you guys.
Never.
mm-mm.
I mean,
They're pretty.
they don't even strike you as the type of people that would be having an affair on each other.
Like they're pretty like cookie cutter, and I mean they're like looks like they have the perfect life.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
But that's what you see every time on the news. When something happens, it's like, oh, they were the greatest neighbors. They were,
Right.
I don't know what happened. And at this point, nobody knows what happened. I just hope they're not stuck somewhere and nobody's trying to find where they're trapped or stuck.
So you mentioned that when you saw the thing on Facebook, you called Dave.
Yeah,
Who is that?
he's one of the neighbors. He used to be he used to own a body shop in Longmont
Okay.
that used to fix some of our used cars.
Oh, okay.
But he happened to live in the same neighborhood.
You know his last name?
Neighborhood, Cologne, Collon.
Do you have an address or phone number
I
for him?
don't.
Okay. How'd you get a hold of him?
No, phone number, yes. Sorry,
That's okay.
address, no. Ruby something, I think he said is his street name.
Okay.
But yes.
Same neighborhood though.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Literally, I think it's like a street over. One of the diagonals. I've never been to their house. 303.
Okay.
356. 8494.
Was there anybody else over there when you were over there besides you and Dave?
No. And we were probably there for maybe 15, 20 minutes or so. Just kind of need something from us, like what can we do to help?
Do you know what? So and he said, no, the cops told him to stay at the house.
Yeah, he's like, all I can do is wait and hope that they're somewhere and that they're safe. And
You notice anything in the house looked out of place, anything like that?
no, their house is always clean.
Yeah. Who else are their friends that you guys know of?
We were just talking
We were
about
just
that.
we were talking about that. We don't really.
Yeah,
They had some friends that we knew a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't seen him post on Facebook or anything like that in years.
Okay.
yeah. So
Um,
now I think they just hang out with like Thrive people, like people they know from Thrive.
I think Chris works a lot,
Yeah.
and she works a lot on Thrive, 24 hours a day, posting and trying to sell Thrive stuff. And I mean, we only see him probably 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah. And usually it's them coming over here.
Mhm.
Like we haven't been over to
We
their
went there
house.
for a football game once, for
Yeah.
Steelers game.
But that was like
Steelers fans there.
Oh, okay.
that was like when Bella was a baby.
But she posts so much stuff on Facebook, it's as if you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We definitely know like where they are, what they're doing.
Is he on social media at all?
Nah, not really. Every now and again, he might post something Thrive, but it's very far between.
What does he post on
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah. Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight. He's been working out. He's like, she posts pictures of, look at my man working out with the kids, doing push-ups with one of them on their back. Like,
Yeah.
that's why it's so odd that it's like just, I don't know.
He's lost a lot of weight recently.
The last year or 2 years, they both did. That's
Yeah.
kind of their Thrive thing, and they show themselves and how much weight they've lost since they've been doing Thrive,
Yeah.
and having this extra energy to do work around the house, clean up. You know, I can get up at 5 in the morning because I have Thrive and
Right.
all that different stuff.
Okay. You don't know who any of her friends are or any of his friends?
No, and we watched on 9 News. They interviewed some lady that said she was their best friend, but I didn't recognize her.
And Dave lives in the neighborhood, but I don't know that he's sat high or hung out with them in years.
Okay.
They're not. They knew each other, but they weren't neighbor enough. I think they hung out maybe twice since they both lived there. But I knew he lived in the neighborhood, and I was like, hey, come knock on his door. So weird.
So you found out on Facebook, right?
Yeah, her mom posted something that my daughter was missing. You know, you see that stuff on Facebook so often, it's just kind of scroll through it, and I had to have read it 6 times. And I'm like, no. Like, there's no way. They were just here yesterday. Well, Chris and the girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, they were just here yesterday. And why, you know, I mean, me and Chris don't text often. But it's like, why didn't you text me and say, hey, have you seen the girls? Have
Right.
you seen Shanann? Like, where is everybody?
What's the reason she didn't come to the party?
Arizona.
Arizona.
She's in Arizona.
Do you know what that was for?
Thrive
The
convention.
Thrive. Okay.
Yeah, she had, when they came over on Father's Day, I mentioned to her that we're going to be having this party, you know, sometime in mid-August. And she's like, okay, well, I'll be.
Look at that. That's cool. It's cake? That's yummy cake. What flavor is it?
Strawberry.
Strawberry? It looks like strawberry. It's pink, huh?
This one's raspberry.
Raspberry.
She said, she's like, she said, just send me like
Yummy
the
yogurt.
email invitation
I
and
have to check my ribs with that.
Yeah, no, sure.
I won't be here, but Chris will bring the girls. And
Okay.
then he did. So,
The wind gone?
which is, I mean, I think kind of normal for her to be out of town now because she's for her, you know, for business and stuff.
Okay. She travels a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. When she does travel, does Chris usually do stuff with the kids like that?
Yeah. I think, huh? Kate? No, we're gonna have dinner soon. Our neighbors said that because they're all in the same preschool class, and I think they said they've seen Chris take the girls to a birthday party before.
Okay.
She's been out of town. Chris freaked out. Like when they got here, like their hair were in little ponytails and stuff. So obviously Chris did that.
Right.
So, I mean, he seems to do a pretty good job at taking on the mom role and taking care of them.
Goodbye. It's cold out there. Okay. Oh. Eagles floppy for blowing in the wind.
This is all just really weird.
It's too real. It's too weird.
I just picture them sitting in a hole.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's weird.
So, guys, that was the quote I was talking about. I'm going to replay that back. And that is the Lindstrom's little kid that said that. So listen closely again to that part.
Taking care of them.
Goodbye. It's cold out there. Okay. Oh. Eagles floppy for blowing in the wind.
This is all just really weird.
It's too real. It's too weird.
I just picture them sitting in a hole.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's weird.
What's your guys' theory? What do you guys think happened?
I look at the like you can't put anything past anybody in this
Yeah.
world because
Mhm.
everybody's freaking weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like people could be struggling even past, you know, quirkiness or weirdness. People could be struggling with stuff that you don't know about at any time. And if she is pregnant and having, you know, stress,
I'll have some later.
you know,
I just
Anything
ate.
that's stress and
stress with stuff and the marriage, I mean,
I worry that her life, if I'm being real,
Mhm.
I really worry that she doesn't have any of the issues she says she has. It causes me to believe that she's got a different issue completely.
What do you mean by that?
Like, it almost felt to me like every time a commercial came on TV, she had that disease.
Oh, okay.
You know, and doctors say I'm never going to have kids. And then you're on your third one. You know, but I'm pretty, I don't know, I'm weird about that stuff too. Like, I don't believe.
So I'm going to pause it there, you guys, and just, you know, remember, Jeremy and Jennifer are doing this interview, and at this time, they are not aware that Shanann and the girls are gone. And it's very sad, but also I feel at the same time, Jeremy is trying his best to help in any way he can. Explain to investigators what they may know, what Shanann is like. And let's be honest, it is not the best. He's not putting Shanann in the best light. And no one is perfect. I do feel bad that a lot of her personal life is thrown out there for everyone to judge. I can't imagine if that were to happen to one of us. Danielle, what the little boy said, yes, I feel that it was point on intuitive that maybe that child is communicating with them. Maybe they sent a message to that child. I mean, out of all of the things to say, why say that? Why not say they ran away? They went to Disneyland. I mean, you know, it is a very odd thing to say. I just picture them in a big hole. And that's exactly where all of them were. We will move on with this interview. I just wanted to say it is kind of hard to hear Jeremy say this about Shanann. Again, I cannot confirm or deny whether Shanann had lupus, any of these autoimmune diseases, but as someone who has an autoimmune disease, they are not easily caught. It takes a lot of MRI testing. It takes blood testing. Sometimes it can take years to catch lupus, MS, fibromyalgia, these type of diseases. It can take a while to catch onto it. So it sounds like Shanann was, you know, very vocal about some of the health issues she was going through. And I can relate to that in a sense where sometimes when I talk about things that have happened to me health-wise, they sound pretty unbelievable. So therefore, at times I can be hesitant to talk about them because you don't want people being like, you're full of it, you know, and then be like, let's see your medical records, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, we will continue this. As you can hear, Jeremy is saying that Shanann sounded like every time something came on the television, she'd be like, oh, I have that, or I have this, or, you know, the girls have that. So remember, at this time, he did not know really what was going on. So with that, let's continue.
I believe everybody has everything they say they have.
Yeah.
But for her to have everything,
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know, it's so it wouldn't put it past me for her to just up and take off.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't. You know, that's my hardest thing because I want to believe that that's the truth because I don't want to believe anything else.
Right. Right.
I don't believe Chris would ever harm a fly.
Okay.
That's me knowing Chris.
Right.
I don't know what happens behind the closed doors.
Right.
I don't know if her OCD and honey-do list and you're doing this before you leave has gotten to him. You know, doubt it. His personality doesn't really convey something like that.
Yeah.
And would he ever touch his girls? No way. But who knows if she didn't come home and say, this baby's not yours. You know,
Right.
that's all the stuff that goes in my head. Like, oh, I've been in North Carolina because I've been with the dad of the real dad. You never know what story pops out of nowhere and causes people to go nuts.
Right.
But it wouldn't surprise me that she's at somebody's house, her friend's house, like, and she did all that stuff just to. I'm leaving all my stuff behind just to get in his head. Because maybe he didn't do something he was supposed to do, or I don't know. I hope that's it, because it's a safer situation.
Right.
I don't know.
You guys mentioned earlier that she was telling you about the. Was it him or her that was telling you that the gender was in the envelope? And
He was.
He was. Okay.
She mentioned it before that they were going to do a gender reveal.
Okay.
He mentioned, I asked him, I said, who knows who it is? Because somebody's got to do the reveal.
Right.
And he said that they have another friend who knows what the sex is.
So they didn't know.
No.
So I'm going to pause here, and I just want to say that you hear Jeremy continue to say, I just can't imagine Chris did anything. That's just not who he is. This is why I think Chris took the opportunity to play upon his nice guy persona and do this knowing he could get away with it. Daniel says, I think some people have some issues with that. Shanann said about her issues. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I personally don't care whether or not Shanann had lupus. She raised awareness about it. So that's why I choose to mention the Lupus Foundation when I talk about organizations to donate to you guys. I will throw that back up there if you feel like you want to. St. Jude is another organization that the family thought was very important. And for me personally, I like breastcancer.org and the National MS Society for Multiple Sclerosis. Both of those organizations have helped me personally. And I know a lot of people slam Susan G. Komen. I get it. Trust me, I know why. But they do help people out if they need. So any of those donations are welcome. Do it directly to the organizations. I do not collect money for them. If you do donate to me, it would be like Venmo, Cash App, and that would just be going towards a cup of coffee or FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act, audio calls like we're listening to right now. But there is no need to do that. But while we're on the topic of donations, I do appreciate those who do donate.
He said they don't know what it is yet, but they have a friend who does and was doing something with champagne bottles color.
And I will say this one last thing. Sorry. As a mom of two kids that are pretty rambunctious, I think the Lindstroms probably should have had someone come babysit the kids so they could sit down and have this conversation. Maybe another officer should have came so that they could have kind of distracted the kids. I know they wanted to talk to McKenna, so she's probably sitting at the table with them during this interview, which was important. But the little one being there probably does not need to hear this conversation, right? I guess that would be my advice for anyone in law enforcement, in investigations. Maybe bring an officer with you as backup to entertain the kids so you can get a solid, good interview. I feel the Lindstrom family was a little distracted because their kids were there at the house. So.
Or something.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know who that friend is.
Okay.
It's why it's all weird because the conversations were way too normal with plans in the future. Like,
Right.
typically, if there's no, hey, we're going to Aspen this weekend, can your daughter watch the kids on Friday? If there's something bad that's going to happen, there's no plan.
Right.
Who knows?
And they both seemed excited and happy about the baby.
Yeah. she loves having the kids. I mean, she posts everything about them.
Right.
I mean, as far as we know and see. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
If they were having marital problems, I have no idea.
They hit it good.
Yeah, they
No
don't.
idea.
Yeah, they don't tell everybody else that they're having problems.
Okay. Anything else that you think we should know? Anybody else that we should talk to?
No,
can
I
think
mean, it's all weird.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
too weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to guess, she's somewhere. But she'd never take the kids without the car seat. And that's where my mind always goes back to, why wouldn't you take your phone? If you're going to leave your husband, you take your stuff with you.
Right.
Unless you want to just be vindictive and cause this big ordeal.
Yeah.
You'd say, look at what I did. Or,
So she likes the attention on Facebook. Is this something she would do to get attention, you think?
oh,
Yeah.
I think so. And I think that's the same issue with all the diseases, to get the attention. Does she have one of them? Maybe. Does she have any of them? Probably.
Right.
Does she have all of them? Probably not. You know, like, don't know. You know, she changed the enunciation of her name. Like, what rebellious does she have? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or,
Right.
you know, but I see patterns, not even on purpose. But if I was to guess, she's at somebody's house.
Okay.
And that nobody on Facebook has said anything. It's going to be the one on Facebook that's not posting anything that's probably where she's at.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess her friend Nicole dropped her off at the airport, and apparently she's the one that called the cops, according to Facebook anyway. But did they talk about it on the way home from the airport? Who knows? Were they in Arizona for however many days together? Sure. Did they talk about him the whole time, maybe? And hey, when I get back, I'm gonna do this. Who knows?
Right.
You know, my heart goes more towards that direction than the other direction. Being that he was here on Sunday with the kids, and if he had ambitions of doing anything stupid,
Right.
probably wouldn't have been here on Sunday.
Yeah.
Playing with the kids and having them play with water balloons, and I don't know.
Shanann have Instagram too?
I said maybe.
Oh, she has everything, bud. She's got two.
Two of everything.
That girl's got it all.
I mean, but I wasn't really, like, see the last time.
But I hate to think of my friends that way.
Right.
That's not, you know.
Hold it down, Mom.
And of course, I get texts from people that, you know, used to work with her, that used to work there, and see it on
Mhm.
Facebook. And it's the same, you know, you kind of get some of the same character things. Of, she's doing this on purpose, you know?
Kind of a common
Yeah.
thought among people.
Yeah. Attention, is there something she wasn't getting enough attention of? Has she reached her limit in her head? I don't know. Is she tired of living so many lies that she is?
I
Right.
think so. Yeah, they call that your.
I don't know. I know. I just hope that they're safe.
She's
You know.
she's the one. She's the reason why I have Snapchat. It's easier to get a hold of her. And I take her pictures and yes, of course. And it's easier to get a hold of her that way.
You know, if he has.
It's not.
I don't know. You guys, I've never.
If what?
If Chris
Any
has Snapchat.
Snapchat or anything like him for him?
I have Snapchat with like 7 people.
Well, look and see if he's on there because when you download Snapchat, all the contacts in your phone. So,
Where do I go to friends?
Have your daughter show you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
She's 16 almost.
I know, she's got this under control.
We need to hire some 16-year-olds to do our phone work for us.
Seriously.
yes. She wants to go into law enforcement possibly. So
Oh,
there
well,
you go.
good.
You can be the phone person.
There you go.
Can you search friends?
Type them in. Oh gosh, what are you doing? Add friends?
That's what I was under because you don't have them on. Search his name.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there.
Or can you click
I
on that?
don't even have them added.
Ooh, let me just
He
take a
doesn't
picture of
even
that.
have a score, so he's probably never used it.
That's all right.
before.
There's some over there. Can you take a picture of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and I have Shanann's email because
Yeah, what's that?
she invited Levi for his
Do
birthday
you have
party.
an email for him too?
So
I bet you I do. If I would it be under his contact?
It could be.
I'll give it to Levi.
I don't have it there, but have I ever emailed him? Because it would save, right? In my Yahoo.
Mine's only on my Evite because I've only emailed her on Evite for the birthday party.
No, I don't have anything Chris oriented on my sent emails or ever typed in.
Well, you have an email.
And I have
So I've typed it in Chris Valentine.
and Shanann's like one of our emergency contacts for this and stuff. Like as an alternate person to contact.
I think we were like the only ones they knew out here when they first moved out here.
Yeah.
No, they knew the people that Jeannie girl. Janine, Jeanne,
Oh,
the one
they lived with.
Yeah, they lived
Got
with
They
them.
lived with.
They lived with them when they first moved here, like while their house was getting built. And then the last time
That's pretty cool.
Hey.
Hot Wheels, huh?
Because she threw the baby shower.
Look at that.
And who's that?
That was a good one.
It's like one of those names where
And
think
I
it's
tried to
Jeannie, but
like,
spells
I looked at Shanann's Facebook on my phone to try to look at her friends' names,
Hmm.
and everything's blocked
Yeah.
to see her friends that you aren't associated with.
Right.
But I don't know if they're still in touch.
She knows
I
her
have-
social
they
media
are,
really
but
good.
I haven't heard anything
Or-
about her post stuff.
Just keep the hell somewhere else. We'll be
Yeah.
fine. I had a guy that I work with was at the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo for that.
Oh, really?
His Tesla got smashed.
Oh, no.
Tesla.
To the ground.
Ouch.
It looked like the car just got completely lowered. It was probably
Really?
his fault. They
Wow.
smashed the pillars. Like he said, I've never seen it ever like that.
Huh.
He's lived in Colorado his whole life.
Wow. It's been a bad year.
For hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are consistent with those August birthdays.
His due date was August 30th. He just came a couple weeks early. Otherwise, we
Oh,
were
wow.
done for. Oh yeah, toughest month of the year.
No doubt. They spend lots of money.
116, turning 10. Her new
Jeez.
Jeep's in the garage. She just can't wait to get her license.
That dog can't wait to get a bite of that food. He is excited.
Oh, I'm
Her
good.
kid's so
Thank
old
you.
Now, the only thing she's got is food.
Do you? Is that from your party? Very cool.
It's all right. Take your time.
I see her on here.
On Facebook.
No, Evite.
Wow. Oh, I'm good. Thank you. You have it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. But I don't eat candy. It's bad for you.
It's bad for your temple.
It's an airhead. How about you eat it for me?
Yeah, can't even.
Okay. Is your hair pink? Red? Your hair is not red. It's white. Looks kind of like blondish brown. Whoa! That was scary.
Okay.
Oh.
Man, that was a downer. He was trying to go skateboard.
Sorry. Is it too windy for you? You should not. Get up.
It's his birthday. That was yesterday. Mean truck.
But you did leave your toys out.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
as I turn around.
Well, if someone would just tell him to put them away, I'm sure that never happened.
Yeah, never. All right.
I'm gonna make a new party.
Weird.
Buddy with the goose, like, oh.
Just one drop dramatically reduces redness, so your eyes can appear whiter and brighter. You won't believe your eyes.
So I don't believe there's anything really more significant from that interview. So we can go ahead and jump over to the interview I was talking about with Nate. And we will check that out. It is, I believe it's in my Watts playlist. Going to look for that right now.
Grass to die and all that.
Okay. So. We will take a look at this. I would like that to be larger. No. Also, I hope everyone is having a really good week. All right, let's listen to this one.
Stuff.
Here, I need to talk to you away from everybody for a minute.
Sure. I mean, obviously
They're not letting anybody know this, but her parents will be here Sunday.
well, we know they're on their way, but
So it'll only be, it got turned off just this morning.
okay. We just didn't want, because obviously the house is going to be
Well, of course.
part of the estate or
But
whatever.
I figured for 2 days, the sprinkler will
that
be
won't.
fine.
Yeah, that should be fine.
That's-
We may even get a couple.
That's the reason I did it.
As long as it's not off for a couple weeks.
Oh,
and,
no.
And,
It'll be taken care of
Okay.
when they get here on Sunday.
okay.
Her dad talked to me. I'm basically the one that's been talking to them through this whole thing.
Right.
That camera's the one that got all the evidence you guys have. So
Okay.
I've been talking to them through this whole thing. I just talked to him just now, and he said, if anybody's in that house, call me. So we came out here came out here to tell them to leave the vigil. I got the sprinklers, and that's when we saw movement in the house.
Right.
And I went and knocked on the door, and obviously they're not going to answer if they are who they say they are. But then I called her dad, and her dad was like, well, will you call the PD and just make sure they are who they are?
Yeah. So you actually did talk to them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've been talking to her parents all morning.
They are who they say they are, and
I kind of figured, but in the same sense,
but they should have let someone know that they were.
I told her parents that
Yeah.
I would make sure.
No, you did the right
Well,
thing.
because her dad's worried about his dad getting in the house.
Right.
That's what he's more concerned about, is if his family gets access to the house somehow.
Well,
That's whether it's a legit concern or not, that's what they're worried about. And I told them that I would take care of that.
it may be, but it may also be a little bit of a sticking point. Because his dad could potentially
I know.
have access to the house.
That's why he
may not be able to stop that.
Well, he just wants to know what's going on because he's in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So he was like, if anybody's in that house, let me know. And I was like, there's someone in there with a camera, da-da-da.
I will stop that and make a comment about, if you did not know, the house was in Chris's name. So yes, Chris could have given his dad permission to go in that house while he was locked up the day he was put behind bars after his pretty much admission to what happened. I believe Ronnie stayed at a hotel instead. And as you heard Nate say, he was concerned that Chris Watts' dad would try to enter the home and take things out. That was the concern of of Frank Rusick. Carrie B, there is not an interview with Sandy. She did one on Dr. Phil. I don't feel comfortable playing that fully just because of copyright law. There is one with Frankie Rusick Jr. that a lot of people haven't heard. I am just painting, you guys, so I'm happy to play another interview if you're interested, but we can continue this one and kind of see where everyone's at.
And we thought maybe the reporters had gone in. We didn't know what was going on.
That was my concern. I mean, I saw a guy with a suit and tie, so I kind of figured, but I wouldn't.
Well, the suit and tie. I mean,
I wouldn't.
The reporters wear suit and tie.
Yeah, I wouldn't put past these ultras to do any of that.
Yeah. So that was one of our concerns.
That was mine as well.
But no, you did good by calling. It's fortunate that they're allowed to be there.
Yeah, it's very fortunate for them.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, that's the reason I called. I talked to her parents, and her dad was like, "Will you please call the PD and at least let them know that they're supposed to be who's in there?"
Yeah. So we got all their information. We talked to the DA. The DA said they can be in there, and
cool.
So we're all good. So, all right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Oops, sorry. That's that one. If you want to hear that, you can go to my YouTube page, and it is under the Watts playlist. I do believe Jeremy and his wife were on a podcast together. We could listen to that. I will not play all of it in its entirety because, you know, obviously that would not have been my interview. I want to say it was on, let's see. Unjustified. So Truth Talks. Okay. Truth Talks. Okay. We can play a little bit of this, you guys. I am going to link the full interview here that you would need to go watch the full interview. And we'll just play like a little bit of this and we can discuss.
You know, go out to dinner with them and hang out. And then after that, we just started hanging out with them regularly and
So I kind of want to go back and forth between the two of you because I really want to set the stage. There's a whole lot of documentation on the story.
Mhm.
And in the documentation of the story, there is kind of a common theme, really, that most people didn't think this guy was capable of this.
No, absolutely not.
So I kind of want to get your perspective. When you first met him, kind of when you first got to know the guy and so on and so forth, and know Shanann, because part of this story is, and you'd said it before a little bit, most people think that you knew him first, but you actually knew Shanann better.
Yes.
So I kind of want to get that perspective on this. So I want you both, we'll start with you, kind of how you knew him first, and then I want to get your perspective on what you thought of both Chris and Shanann.
Shanann was very detail oriented, very OCD in a way, right? Chris was mow the lawn, clean out the garage. It was a very old school traditional family value in their house. Chris was a mechanic. Shanann was a mother, right? Like very traditional along a lot of those. I told her one day at work, hey, I want to meet with you every Monday at 1:00. Let's go through your customers. Let's see what I can help you with. Let's see what I can do. She would show up in my office, whether I was ready or not, with her phone. My alarm went off.
Yeah.
She would hold me accountable for our meetings. And Chris was meticulous with everything. That kid was one of the best mechanics I've ever seen fixing cars. He had a passion for what he did fixing cars at the store as a service guy. One day for his birthday, she bought him a supercharger for his Mustang. Like, would you think anything different? No. She knew what he loved. He knew what she loved. It worked, right? Everything worked. He is a hardworking kid. Anything she said to do, he would do it 100% of the time. Hey, my parents are going to move out here. You're going to fly out to the East Coast and you're driving the moving truck back and they're going to fly home. He's like, I'm good with that. I'll drive the truck so they can fly home. They don't have to ride in the truck, right? This is the kid that did this. So there's no way, shape, or form would I ever believe this could happen.
Well, there's certainly a consensus with a lot of the stuff that's out there that is a very accurate description from a lot
100%.
of people. How did you feel about the two?
Pretty much the same. Like Shanann was always, like from the moment I met her, she was always super outgoing and super friendly. She wanted to, when we first met her, she didn't have any kids yet. And but you could tell that they really wanted to have kids. And she was really interested in, our girls and what they liked and wanted to spend time with them. And then she got pregnant with her oldest, Bella. And you could tell that was, always her dream is to have kids. And
Exciting moment.
Yes.
Nothing seemed odd.
Well, she wasn't even sure she could have kids, right?
Yeah. They did have, I know, some fertility problems with the first two. And
That she discussed with you?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. She just always really wanted to be a mom, and she loved, like, when she was pregnant, she would always be excited about, I'm, decorating the baby's nursery, and this is the theme I chose, and I got all the clothes ready, and they're all washed and hung up, but I'm only 4 months pregnant, and
So very type A, like Jeremy just
absolutely.
described.
yeah, very
Absolutely.
organized and just always like ready to go. Like what's the next thing? And she just always had something going on that she could really dive into and be involved in,
And consistently that way every time you met him.
Oh yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
So tell me how often that you guys did get together. I know we talked about some football
Mm-hmm.
games and some parties, which we're going to get to the one party, which was the night before. But prior to that, did you hang out on a pretty regular basis?
Regular as in maybe 6-8 times a year.
Okay.
Depending on stuff. If I ever invited them to something, they showed up.
Yeah.
It's just, if they invited us to something, we showed up. It was just how we lived, 2 miles from each other?
So she worked with you. Did you develop a relationship with him?
Yes and no.
Well,
right?
when you go to parties a lot of times and you're hanging out, the men will kind of go over to one side, women will kind of do their thing.
Yeah.
Were you with him one-on-one a lot?
No,
Not so much.
no. He would come over, and his main goal was my food. Whatever I barbecued, whatever I smoked up, whatever I cooked, whatever we put out, he was like, I'm coming over because I know there's food. Right. But he spent a lot of time with the kids.
Yes.
Shanann was more, hey, how can I help clean? What can I cook? What can I do? She needed to be involved in the party, right? Chris was involved in the kids and making sure they were taken care of. They were okay, right? Like, that's just how it always happened. Hey, they wouldn't leave. Shanann's like, I want to help clean the kitchen. I want to help put the dishes away. I want to do this. Like, that was normal, as normal as could be with really good friends.
Consistently every time too.
100%.
100%. So there was nothing early on where you were like, wow, this is an interesting type of dynamic relationship. It was actually one of those just really good old-fashioned school relationships.
No, this was a relationship that people would probably wish for. With what she demanded in life and his acceptable personality fit.
Which is really interesting because it sets up a story that's almost unfathomable anyway. And we're going to get to that because we've talked off camera about this before. And this is what makes the story so intriguing to me, because it is very difficult to place. And we're going to ask you a lot of those questions because I know you feel the same way. So leading up to that night, I want to jump right into the night before. They're at your house. The birthday. Describe that party. That's the night before.
Extremely normal. We invited Chris because we knew Shanann was out of town. They talked and we knew she wasn't going to be there.
Now she was in Arizona.
Yes.
Did you talk to her while she was in Arizona?
No, I did not, but my daughter did because she had actually babysat the girls the night before the birthday party.
Correct.
So Chris could go to a alleged baseball game.
Right.
Which I invited him to the Broncos game because I received tickets. And he told me he couldn't go because his work would be mad if he didn't use the tickets.
And this was the night before the party.
Yes.
Yeah, this was literally Saturday night.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sunday
so let's just start there. So the night before your party, you had invited him to the Bronco game.
I invited him a few days earlier, and that's when he texted me back, oh, I can't go. I got tickets to the Rockies game, and if I don't use them, my work's going to be mad that I didn't use them. And I get that because that's 100% normal conversation. Because if my work gave me their season tickets for the Broncos and they saw they didn't get scanned in, somehow they know.
Yeah.
They know they didn't get used. Or if they find out they didn't get used, you're never getting tickets again.
Yeah.
So we know in hindsight, though, that he had taken this mistress to the game.
Right.
But you did not know that.
No.
Your friends, but did they have any other friends that they were really, really close to that they did a lot of things with?
The Thrive friends. But we didn't know any of them. But I heard Shanann would talk about them.
But you guys had never heard any marital problems. Neither one of them had discussed any of that.
So I do want to pause and have conversation as we listen to this, just because that is how I like to do things. You know, I don't want to just take everything word for word. I want to have a conversation. I think the host of this show did a really great job. You guys go follow Truth Talks on YouTube. I will probably reach out to him, see if he likes to collaborate. I am going to be doing a lot of collaborations this summer, guys. Really excited to do them with creators like Cuff. You and I just recently did one on Travis Decker's search, which, by the way, guys, there is no new updates. He's still on the run. Amy with Para Women Radio. I'm going to do a drop on her name if you guys don't follow her. We do a lot of true crime together. We do a segment called Wellness Files where we talk a lot about health issues, things like that. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Charlene, how are you doing tonight? So yeah, guys, go follow my friend Amy. I don't know if I also mentioned Patty Productions. We're going to be doing something Real Killers, and just did something with RC Cowboy. So you might see him in the chat pretty often. Just recently did an interview with him that Amy set up for us. So lots of fun stuff this summer. Oh, also obviously Kelly from What's the Obsession. I'll go ahead and tag her as well. So if you're not following Kelly, I don't know where you've been. She's kind of queen bee on this case. She's been following it from the very beginning. So someone asked, did Nicole use witchcraft? Guys, personally, I don't. I think that Nicole Kessinger was into yoga. I think she was into some new age stuff like that. I think when Chris said she was into dark things, I think Chris just doesn't know what meditation and yoga really is. So maybe he was like thinking that's dark things. I don't know. I wish I could explain it better, but that's my thoughts on that. Let's continue this interview. And I'm going to pin up again. Oh, was Honey Bunny in here? Oh, no. So Truth Talks.
None of the marital, none of the financial, none of any of that.
On the surface, it's just like, this is the perfect family.
Yes.
Okay. So again, hindsight, we find this out, but you invite him. He says he's going to go to this game.
Normal excuse. I don't think I have zero radar of this kid ever lying to me. Zero radar, right?
Yeah.
And so when he said, oh, the work's going to get mad if I don't use these tickets, I get it.
Right.
I've been there. I understand that. Makes 100% sense. And I invited him because I thought I remembered him saying one time he'd never actually been to a live NFL game. So I was like, I thought of him right out of the gate. I'm like, why not? I know that she's out of town. And before she had went to...
Also want to mention that Chris, in the book by Sherilyn Cadle, which I am going to do a kind of chat review of the entire book on Thursday. I did not have the energy to do it tonight. He said to Sherilyn Cadle that he believes God gave him 3 chances to turn his life around. He believes the second chance was this: Jeremy inviting him to the game. He feels that he was never at an NFL game. This was his chance. It was God telling him go. However, he didn't. He went out with Nicole Kessinger.
Even before she went to North Carolina, she's like, hey, make sure you call him and hang out with him. I don't want him doing anything dumb while I'm gone.
Now, when did she leave to go to North Carolina? That was prior to.
That was, 5 weeks before?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
At the like more towards the beginning of the summer.
Right.
She had,
Did we think it was weird she was leaving for 5 weeks with the kids to North Carolina? Sure.
yeah.
Yes.
But Shanann's personality didn't lead down any paths of marital issues or anything, right?
Well, this is why we're getting your story, because you guys have a really interesting perspective on the story. Because again, knowing people, being friends. Now, there's a lot of times in relationships people don't tell their personal stuff, right?
Sure.
Right.
But it was odd that she had left. But still, in your mind, because you'd seen them interact so well together, the 5 weeks, just 5 weeks, you thought maybe she's type A, she's going to go do whatever she's going to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Get me to the party the night before.
Your
party.
My son's birthday party.
Yes.
He came over like they have for the last 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
They came over. He shows up. He's got the diaper bags. He's got the girls, and it was normal conversation with Shanann. It was, hey, Chris is going to bring the girls over. Of course, nothing out of the blue. We're playing in the backyard. The girls are running around playing. They're playing in the little swimming pool.
Was he on time?
Give or take, there was no time.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, he was a little bit later, but he had mentioned when he got there that the girls had just woken up from their nap. And
nap was very important. Shanann
Yeah.
had these girls on a
On
schedule.
schedule.
Okay, so they were on schedule.
Yeah.
So nothing there was odd. It's
No.
just
Nope.
they were taking a nap and then they showed up. Okay.
Yep.
they were
And we
all there.
were playing water balloons in the backyard. Chris was throwing water balloons. The girls were throwing water balloons. They were all normal kids' birthday party. Nothing crazy, right?
Do you see why I ask these questions? Because on the outside, it's extremely difficult. And because you guys have this really intimate knowledge, this is why it's really an interesting topic. And I'm trying to make sure we don't skip anything or miss anything, because I think you guys would have caught it. You know him pretty intimately. So he's out there
If
playing.
anything was off.
Yeah.
Say that again.
If anything was off, absolutely we would have seen something.
Correct. But he would be out there playing with the water balloons, because we talked about it earlier where you're like, he would kind of migrate towards where the kids are at.
Yep.
Okay. So he's out playing with the kids, nothing out of the normal. He was a little bit late, but there's a nap. We kind of know that.
Right. Well,
Okay.
and at the same time, this is the first time we've seen one of them without the other. So we wouldn't have anything to judge off of.
Okay.
But it was still normal, like with the kids. But then when we got to the birthday cake, he was standing in there. He knew that the girls had allergies. She knows more about what their allergies were, but he didn't let them have cake. He didn't let them have certain things because he knew they had allergies, right? We got them popsicles out of the garage because they could have popsicles. And then shortly after the cake, it was time for them to go home because their bedtime is 7-ish o'clock.
Again, on schedule.
On schedule.
So let me ask
100%.
you a question. When you were talking about the birthday cake, when he tells you they can't have it because of their allergies, was it just a sincere, I mean, was there anything about that where you would be like, okay, that's odd, or anything like that?
No, because I mean, we knew the kids had allergies, and he just said, I'm sorry, they can't have cake. And you could tell that they were disappointed. So that at that point I said, okay, well, we have, just ice pops in the freezer outside.
And was that conversation the same conversation you'd always had with him?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Every birthday party's been the same. They can't have the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was not abnormal by any means.
Yeah. I've replayed that birthday party in my head 1,000 times since then, just to see, like, was there something that we missed that, we could.
We haven't had his birthday party at our house since then.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the things that I certainly wanted to ask is, obviously at a birthday party, you're taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys take a bunch of pictures that evening?
Oh, yeah.
And tell me anything about the pictures. Was there anything about the pictures that stood out to be different?
No. Not well. So in my mind, and I have the picture and I can send it to you now. Somebody tried to steal it off my Facebook page from another media source, right? And I had them take it down, and they did take it down. But I have a picture of him standing in the background of my kid blowing out a candle, right? And it's probably the most awkward, lack of better words, just that's the image that's in my brain of him blowing out his candles and Chris standing behind him and the girl standing on the side with Bella looking up and over trying to watch him blow out his candles, right? That's my last image of them.
So when you see that picture and you see him, is it a different Chris Watts than you knew?
You keep looking at it and his face changes, right? Every time I look at that photo, his face changes, and now it's like, that's a creepy fucking picture.
Yeah.
Right? Like for real.
He truly looks evil in that picture.
Yes.
Truly.
That
in the
is
beginning,
so interesting.
Absolutely not. Now, absolutely. Right?
Because and the way his eyes, he's just like slightly looking up at, like, towards the camera, just with like no soul in his eyes.
Did you have the same visceral response as Jeremy did?
Yeah.
When you saw that picture?
Yeah. And it was the same too when we saw him being in his infamous porch interview after everything happened.
Right.
He looked and sounded different in that interview. Like, it wasn't him. Like, it was him, obviously, but he looked and sounded different.
So
And same
you
with that
almost
picture.
knew then, because we're going to get to this in a little bit, because you haven't kept up quite as much as she has.
Right.
In there,
And I'm probably one of 3 supporters that thought that news interview was not what everybody else saw. Right. When you're inside the bubble and you don't want to believe things, you still don't see things.
Well, I'm going to get to that, because I'm going to really hammer that hard, because especially with, I mean, you were there, you were at the house, but I'm going to bring that up in just a second. So as with anybody that goes to a birthday party or anything, there comes that moment where it's time to go. And obviously Shanann's not there, who would have cleaned up and made sure all that happened. Was there any anxiety, anything, or was the departure also what you would consider normal?
Extremely normal.
Was it, come on girls, let's get in the car? I mean, what was that?
It was bedtime's coming up, right?
Yeah.
We know that. We know Shanann's schedule. Like, she has a schedule, and if you tell us it's her schedule, we're going to say, okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's okay. Right? And we don't.
Yeah. Well, and they stayed a long time too. It's not like they were there and left in 30 minutes.
Well, that's what I want to know. The party
there.
started how long were they there?
Probably for 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 or 4 hours. Normal.
They were there.
And that would be normal.
Yeah. They were there for the playing and the eating and the cake and the presents. Like, they're in all, during a party, you take a series of pictures, like of the kids playing, of the presents and the cake. They're in all of those events that happened at the party.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, just.
And he doesn't drink or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So they just said, all right, well, we got to get going.
So he had nothing to drink.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't drink.
Mm-mm.
Not his thing.
Yeah. Very, very, very fascinating, because again, this is kind of the story I think that a lot of people have never heard before.
Right.
And it's a real interesting thing, because again, we can all put ourselves in that situation and know what is coming down the pipeline here. You would absolutely think that there would be something out of place or something not right.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way in my brain that this kid said, hey, can't wait to marry that girl so we can have kids and kill them all.
Yeah.
Right. That didn't happen. Like,
yeah,
that's not how that works, I guess. Like,
are you convinced that, obviously I think we know through, what investigations have taken place that it was pre-planned. He knew he was going to do that.
Based on all the stuff I've heard since then, apparently, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of the consensus.
How can anybody freaking go to a kid's birthday party knowing that, hey, hurry up. Why would you protect the cake? Like, all that shit goes through my head, right?
Right.
Why would you care that they're allergic to something if you're about to take them home and freaking do what you did?
Yeah.
That doesn't work, right?
It doesn't, which is kind of that gap of speculation. Did the guy really intend to do it while he was at the birthday party? Did he?
According to his post interviews that I've seen, it was weeks before. I believe the kid maybe I'm going too far into the story, but when he got with this other girl and got to go camping and got to go to the Shelby Museum, which he's a big Ford mechanic, right?
Yeah.
That's his passion, was Ford mechanics. His passion wasn't the oil field. It was the Ford mechanic. It was going camping, going to the Shelby Museum, going to all these Moab and everywhere else he got to go in that 5 weeks period of time, probably is what transformed his brain to a lifestyle that he didn't have, that he didn't know existed, and then wanted.
Yeah, there is a lot of speculation to that, and kind of how that transition went. There are certainly a ton of interviews. At Truth Talks, we don't want to, we don't want to put everybody else's perspective into this, because it's really about you guys telling the story. But there is certainly some perspective that it had been going on for a while. The thought process was there, and then obviously we did it. That's why it's so interesting to know that you guys saw them the night before. Yeah. That was what was really interesting. One of the other things you want to talk about is, again, when you hear that your daughter babysat for them.
Yes.
That's got to be a little chilling too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and her story was when she babysat the night for the baseball game, right? When she came home, she had mentioned the pantry was a mess. Like, the house was a mess. It was not clean anymore. It was not organized anymore. there was zero regard for everything that Shanann does at the house. Right? She's like,
Right.
I've never seen that house that dirty. Stuff was everywhere.
And that is interesting because that's the whole reason why I wanted to bring that up is there was something awry that as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And your daughter noticed that.
Yeah.
Right.
And brought that to your attention. So we know that, man, it is really structured how they live their life, but yet she noticed that there was something not right.
Right.
Yeah.
And was there anything else that she said?
Yes, it was about the allergies. So when I picked her up, she said that, everything went good. She said that, I said, well, how did bedtime go? Because I know if she would to be babysitting her brother, bedtime wouldn't go good. He wouldn't want
Right.
to go to sleep. And, but I know, they have a very regimented schedule. So she said that Cece went to bed pretty easily on time, but then Bella went to bed and then came downstairs and said she wasn't tired yet, wasn't ready to go to bed. And through some conversation that she had with Bella had mentioned that her sister can't have coconuts, and that she does have coconuts, that she won't be able to see her anymore. So that really stood out to my daughter, and she thought that was kind of sad that she, had thought that in her little mind. But
So I do want to stop there for a second and just make, commentary as we go along and listen to this interview done. It is so sad to think that for some reason Bella was very focused on Cece's allergies that day. It makes me wonder, did Chris bring it up? Did he maybe have plans? And we've talked about this before. Were there other plans instead of what he did? Was he going to try to poison them? So many questions, I think, that we rack our brain about because this case doesn't make sense. And we're watching and listening to an interview right now with a family, the Lindstrom family, that knew them very well. And they are still kind of in denial. Imagine they are probably looking back every other day or so, wondering, did I miss something? Did something happen that I didn't notice before? Did he say something? I'm sure you can imagine you would be feeling all of that too. So this interview was done, once again, I want to repeat, by Truth Talks. I always try to promote other content creators as much as possible. And of course, I will not play the entire interview. I want you guys to go over to their channel to watch the full interview, but we will just play like little bits and pieces of it and comment as we go along. Yes, Lisa, I agree with you fully that I do believe that Bella was very, very intuitive and she knew something was wrong. Very timid, shy girl. So we will continue.
Possibly someone had told her if she has an allergic reaction to it that they could die or something like that.
So it's probably just so that she would know to, help watch out so that she doesn't eat the wrong foods. But then, eventually Bella settled down and went to sleep. Another strange thing was that Chris, when she got there, Chris ordered pizza and said, the girls have already had all their medications, because my daughter was a little worried, like, am I going to have to give them medications at certain times? Am I going to have to give them nebulizer treatments because they had asthma? So she was worried about the medications and giving them the right medications. But he said, no, they're all good. I gave them their medications. You just have to feed them and put them to bed. They were already in their pajamas. Chris didn't leave his phone number with her, and she didn't leave her phone number with him. It wasn't like a conversation. And he didn't contact Jeremy or any of us to ask how the girls were doing. But Shanann, who was in Arizona, contacted our daughter to check on the girls and asked her to send pictures of them.
So Shanann must have known
which is very bizarre, right? That was something that both Frank and Ronnie said Chris never hired a sitter when Shanann was out of town. This was the very first time. So you think on the first time, he might check in and say, how's everyone doing? Is everyone okay?
That he was at the game.
Yeah, she
Just
knew.
not
Yeah,
with
she
him.
knew that she was babysitting and that he was at the game, but she was the one that was checking in on how things were going with the girls, not Chris.
But that's kind of still par for the course, right?
Yeah.
Because she was always the one that was going to make sure everything was in order and detail.
Yeah.
So again, probably not too out of the ordinary for their lifestyle.
Yeah, but I guess he assumed if there was some sort of emergency that she would just contact me because I was, at home right down the street.
Right. So after your guys' party, then we know that fateful night, right? So I want to go through when you first heard about it. I mean, obviously you're at this party, they're there, the girls are there, he's there, the girls are with him. You go to bed that evening. Was it the next morning, right?
That we found out?
Yeah.
The next
No, it was the
evening.
next night.
Yeah.
The next night.
I was sitting on the couch. I came home from work, watching TV, looking at Facebook on my phone, and I noticed that there was a post that the girls were missing, all three of them. And I kind of looked at it, and then I'm like, okay, right? My mindset is not that this is the family that something would happen to. And I had seen it again, and I looked over at her, and I said, I think Shanann and the girls are missing. And I don't know what that means. So I'm going to text Chris. And I texted him.
And this is the next night.
Yes.
Next night.
So the way the story goes is that the friend who dropped her off at, I think it was 1:48 a.m., they just come back from a conference. She had missed an OBGYN appointment. And the friend was actually who called the police and called Chris as well.
Yep.
Which is interesting because we've discussed this case before as we were kind of preparing. And we both were kind of like, who really follows up that quickly? I mean, I don't think we would have, but obviously a good friend of hers, probably knowing that the type A personality, if they didn't answer that first time, then something's going on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the initial setup that was going on. But you guys didn't know any of that was taking place.
No.
But after
I
you
knew
saw
she was getting home in those 2 days, right? Like, we knew that much.
When you guys heard that part of the story, was that shocking at all for you? Knowing that the neighbor would be like, hey, she didn't answer this text, she missed OBGYN appointment.
Well, my instant reaction is, how does somebody's friend know that they missed a doctor's appointment? Nobody's doctor ever called me because one of my buddies missed an appointment, right? That's my mindset of things. What they talked about in Arizona or what they did in Arizona or a conversation from the airport, I don't know any of that, right?
Yeah.
Who knows if there wasn't a conversation that was like, hey, if you don't hear from me, right? Like, I don't know. Now that everything I know later brings me back to some of this,
right?
Which is all speculation in my head, right? But when I followed this through, and I'm like, there's no way he did anything. Who calls the cops after dropping somebody off at 2 a.m. or whatever at 10 a.m. because they missed a doctor's appointment?
Yeah.
Like, nobody's doctor calls that somebody else to say, hey, your friend missed an appointment.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? That's my brain.
I kind of went down that road too. And then what is interesting is, but we're talking now, this is like noon, the police have showed up. They're talking about, but then it hits the airwaves that night.
Well, and at the end of the day, good for her, right?
Right.
Good for her for having
absolutely.
the wherewithal to know that something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Because we knew them and we were close to them and we didn't speculate anything would ever be wrong.
Yeah.
But so good for her, right?
But you then hear this information how and when?
On Facebook at about 8:30 at night. And I looked at her and I said, I'm texting Chris, hey, is everything okay?
What was the initial message that you saw?
On Facebook?
Did
Was
it
that
say
the girls are missing, help find my girls.
From Shanann's mom.
Right.
from Shanann's mom?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
And
I was like, I'm texting Chris, hey, is everything okay, right? And he texts me back, oh, I'm sick to my stomach, blah, blah, blah.
Can you give me a timeline on that, about what time that was?
Let's just say 8:30 and about 8:30 and 30 seconds.
Okay.
I texted Chris, But by 8:31, I was already in my car
Okay.
driving to his house. Right? Like, what the hell's going on here? I have flashlights in my car. Who are we going to look for? Or did they go on a walk because they have a pool in their area? Did they go to use the bathroom in the pool because the girls had to go to the bathroom? Did they get stuck in a bathroom? I'm not leaving them overnight stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? That was my
That was the initial
let's
thought.
go. Right? And so I went over to the house. His door's wide open. He's on the phone with somebody. I go in the house and I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like, I don't know. I don't know where they went. Her said she was going to maybe stay at a friend's house. Like, oh, I got all the bullshit.
Okay. I want to stop you right there, though. And again, this is in hindsight.
Yep.
You see Chris at the party, and even before.
Yep.
Was there anything different about that engagement?
No.
Okay.
Nope. When I went into the house, I'm sitting at his table. He's on the phone with someone, and it's like, where the hell are they? I'm like, hey, where do we go? Where do we go look? What do we do? And he says, oh, the cops told me to stay here. I don't know what I'm looking for. They told me just to go to bed, and we'll do this tomorrow, and whatever, right? He was just saying things, and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to push him too far. I don't want to bug him. I don't want to not be supportive by any means. And so maybe 30 minutes goes by or so, and then I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll go home, right? And when I walked out to my truck, my phone rings. Let me back up. While I'm in the house, she's texting my phone. Where's her car? Are the car seats in the car? Where's their medications? Right? All the mother.
So you're thinking
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
Because I'm like, maybe they got into a fight and she left and went back to North Carolina or something along those lines.
Right.
But then he's like, no, all the stuff is here. And that really did not sit well. Because I'm like, okay, so she would have to like get an Uber that had car seats in it and already have medication. Like, I'm trying to logically think like, okay, she left and went back to North Carolina. That's where
And you knew her type A personality.
Yeah. I'm like, that's totally what must have happened. And she just needed time to cool down. So, but the stuff being there was really, and then to come to find out her purse was there, her wallet was there, her phone was there.
Correct.
So that was really the kicker right there.
Now, did you relay that information
Yes.
to her? That the
Yeah.
person.
So I
phone-
asked him, I said, where's their medication?
Yeah.
Where's their medicine? He said, oh, she has more than enough medication.
Yeah.
Than we have at the house.
Did you go inside the garage and see the car
No.
with the car seats?
No.
Did he just
I-
told you that?
I didn't want to. I guess in my subconscious did not want me to attack anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Nor was I thinking I should. I asked him straight up. I said, is the car in the garage? He said, yes. Car seats? Yes. Where's her phone? It was on the counter. Cops took it. Right? He answered my question,
Yeah.
so I didn't have any reasons to.
And still, your
Whoa.
radar is like, this is the same guy that I've known.
I'm thinking you're the cool, calm-headed guy, and I know her well enough to know that if you try to screw her over, she's taking these kids and she's getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Because her personality says so.
Yeah.
And so when he said, well, we got in an argument and she said she was just going to take the kids and go to her friend's house, I'm thinking, okay, that's probably it. Right? Because nobody comes home from work and says, hey, by the way, you know, your best friends, or not best friends, but your friends, they just killed their family.
But at any
Yeah,
point,
no.
but at any point in your mind, it's like, well, number one, that friend would have to live close.
Right.
And then certainly by then the cops would have found, they probably would have called every friend that they had.
Sure.
Did you get a call from the police?
I did. So when I left his house, I go out, door shuts. I'm standing on his porch. I look down, there's a dead bird on the floor. And I'm thinking, why is that bird on the ground dead? Right? Doesn't happen. I said, yeah, that's not a sign I'm leaving. Right? Right away. I'm like, yeah, that's not a sign of anything. I'm leaving. And I'm walking to my truck and my phone rings and it's the Frederick Police Department calling my phone. Hey, how's it going? This is, I forget the name, but at Frederick Police Department. Do you know Chris and Shanann? I said, yeah, I'm at his house right now. And he goes, oh, should I call you back? Right out the gate. Should I call you back? Is this a bad time? I said, I'm actually getting in my truck right now. And he's like, oh, okay. You know, we start talking and he just asked a few questions, and he goes, "Hey, I need your email address," and he asked personal information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "I may be contacting you in the next few days if I have any other questions." Blah blah blah, right?
Do you mind disclosing what questions that they ask?
Normal. How do you know them? What's my cell phone number? He called it, but he wanted to write it down. And I asked him, I said, "You guys have her phone?" "Yeah, we're going through all the phone numbers on our phone, and we're just calling them all." I don't have any questions. He didn't have major questions of anything. It was
General information.
Just, "Hey, I just want you to have my phone, or I want to have your phone number. I want to have your email address. We may be calling you. You're at the house right now?" "Yes." "What'd you guys talk about?" "Nothing. I'm just looking for where these kids are." Right? Where Shanann is. And then he's like, "Okay, well, thanks for talking to me." And that was it.
So nothing about, when did you get there? What are you doing there? How long have you been there?
They weren't investigating anything, right? They were just going through phone numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that point they didn't even know what they were up against or looking for.
One would think that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that.
So I do want to stop and, just talk as we go along. What are your thoughts, you guys? What do you think about, I don't know, the fact that Jeremy remembers this dead bird? Is that maybe to him a sign that something bad happened, right? I mean, I'm kind of like, I wonder why he brought the bird up. So, yeah.
At anytime something like that happens, the first thing you do is everybody's a suspect, I would think.
Sure.
And because I want to get to that a little bit later too. I want to talk to you a little bit about what your experience was with that, and if you felt like you had, there was any type of really questioning of you, like what was your role in this thing?
Right.
So again, you then you hear this news, you go home. What happens after you go home? Are you still texting him?
No. Nope. I didn't text him at all the rest of the night. Went to work the next day.
Are you texting Shanann?
No. Oh, I did text Shanann. And I said, "Hey, where are you?"
Yeah.
And I got nothing.
So that's interesting for them to also mention. Let's remember, the day the police showed up, they found Shanann's phone in the couch because Chris is so stupid. He just turned it off and put it in the couch cushions. And props to Nicole Atkinson's son, who stopped to look through the couch cushions. Amazing work. Also, if you guys didn't know, there is an interview with Nicole Atkinson on my page. We did an interview with her about maybe 3 weeks ago now on the Wellness Files, and we talked about her cancer journey. There was nothing about this case that we discussed, and if Nicole does decide to join us again to talk about her health journey, I respect and hope that other people will respect. We are not going to discuss the case nor talk about it. We would just talk about whatever topic we are speaking about health-wise. So, yes, the symbol of the bird. Yes, totally. So let's think about this now as we listen back. That night, investigators were going through Shanann's phone and looking at things that Chris probably didn't even know about, has never even seen. I mean, there was probably a lot of content to go through on her phone.
Back, right? I said, and I'm looking at Facebook and I'm looking at different things, and I texted her again. I said, "Hey, dude, if you're somewhere, just tell your mom, right? Tell your mom where you're at, because your mom's worried shitless.
Yeah.
Just let her know." Nothing. And there was things that would happen, like because the cops had certain things like on Facebook and stuff like that, they had access to her account and everything. You would see where it looked like she was going to respond to something, but then no responses. Like when you text somebody and they text you back, if you have an iPhone, it shows a little cloud that they're typing.
Right.
There was different things where it shows that the messages were read, not from my phone, but from Facebook. Because I messaged her on Facebook and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Do you guys mind opening up this for just a second? But you get home that night after talking to him and so on and so forth. Do you mind telling me what your guys' conversation was?
Essentially, it was the conversation of I was at the house. Yes, her phone was there, which she knew most of that. The cops called me on the way home. They just wanted to ask me if I knew the family and that I was there, right? Like, I don't know all the details of all that part, but then it was like, where the hell did they go? And both of us look at each other and it's like, she left, right? She left with the kids.
Well, and you also found out kind of an important piece of information while you were over there as I'm grilling him with questions when he comes home.
That's what I want to know. Were you like ramping up questions?
Yeah, because I'm trying to make sense of all this. And he mentioned that Chris said that they were having marital problems. And that was the last time, that we saw them all in person together. She was newly pregnant. They were excited, never heard of any marital problems. So he said, yeah, they've been, having disagreements and whatnot. So immediately I thought, okay, she left. She took the girls. She left. They're having issues.
You were 100% convinced in your mind that they just left.
Well, that's what I was trying to convince myself of. But the whole piece of the phone, the car seats, the medication, like my mind couldn't reconcile that part of those things being gone. So I'm like, okay, Shanann's really, really smart. She's really organized. So maybe she left that phone and she got a new phone. Like I start thinking about, movie type stuff. Like,
but you went through a lot of scenarios of which her being murdered by her husband was not one of them.
No, yeah, absolutely. Like that. And then one that even went through my head at some point was maybe their problems were really bad and maybe she took her life and the girls. Like maybe it was a murder suicide that way. That was like the worst case scenario in my head. Like maybe they had such a bad fight and there was going to be a custody and she was pregnant. She was stressed out. She just couldn't handle it anymore. Like that was my worst case scenario.
Which is what is so interesting to me because obviously we know the outcome of the story, but that didn't cross your mind.
No,
never.
Yeah, and then as time started going on, and he started doing interviews, and he started becoming a suspect in the media.
Well, so I want to get to that. Yeah. So he comes home. That's that. You guys have this conversation of trying to really figure out what might happen or might have happened, and you probably were trying to even be helpful. Like, okay, what can we do to to do what we've got to do to help find him? Tell me when the next basic communication happened where you found out information that he was doing these interviews or whatever.
Yeah, the following day.
So Tuesday, the Colorado Bureau of Investigations came to our house.
Okay.
And they had called previously and they said, hey, we want to come talk to you. We want to come talk to your daughter. They're trying to put together, she babysat, right?
Yeah, they're just trying to, get together the timeline.
They're trying to put their timeline together.
But you guys would have had to But you guys would have had to have been on the top of that list because if she had all these multi-level
100%
people,
because
you guys
we were
had to
the
be
last
close.
people to be with him.
Did they know that already?
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, yes, because my conversation was my daughter babysat the kids.
Okay.
The night before. They were at our house for the birthday party. Right now they're missing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Her mindset was, why the fuck did he do that to us? I mean, I guess that's later in life, later in conversation, but why this nutshell to bring us into this bubble?
Right.
But so Tuesday,
I do want to pause right there for a second and just kind of talk about that in itself. Oh gosh, we got bright light. Sorry, guys. Like I said, I really didn't have plans to do any live streaming this week because I am getting an infusion done. I have to have this. If you don't like gory, don't look, but I have to have like an IV in my arm, and they come every day and do it. But I'm trying to like chill out, lay low. So I was thinking this week we will just do more, listen to some police interviews and chit chat along the way. Tomorrow I will be going live with Pair Women Radio and What's the Obsession for a live stream that we've had planned for a long time at 9 p.m. But other than that, I'm going to try to kind of keep it low key this week. What Jeremy just said there really sticks with me about how Chris caused so much damage for so many people's lives. I'm sure it's changed the trajectory of McKenna's life. I did reach out to her. I have reached out to the Lindstroms myself and asked to do interviews with them, but did not get a response, which I'm sure they want to move on with their life and they don't want to talk about it. But Chris has damaged so many people's lives. It's unbelievable to me what he's done. So that quote he just gave really stood out to me. Again, you guys, please go follow this channel. Yeah, Carrie. It actually also helps me kind of like take my mind off of what's going on health-wise and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm doing well. I just have to do this infusion to see if it will help with my neuropathy issues. I did a little video on it to explain what all of this is. If you're interested in watching that, if you're also a person who has autoimmune issues, things like that, go check that video out. It's in the shorts section. So thank you for the heart. I appreciate that. So what are your guys' thoughts kind of so far on this interview with the Lindstrom family? We will continue listening here. And yeah.
The CBI comes over. We sat with one in our living room, and the other one was like, hey, I want to go talk to your daughter in a different room, closed door, about the night of babysitting, right? And we're like, okay, that's fine, right? We're trying to help. Prior to them showing up, somebody else showed up because they needed pictures of what the kids were wearing. And she had pictures of when she babysat the kids, what they were wearing, what they go to sleep with, what they wake up with. Like they were detailing 3 nights ahead of the birthday party night, right?
Yeah, they're looking for missing persons. Because I know in some of the research that we've done, the police actually even showed him a picture of a woman and 2 kids in a Walmart, and they were asking if those were his kids. Now I think there were some other psychological things they may have been doing at the time,
Right.
but they were actually at this point still looking for a missing person.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys are on the top of the list, which is why they probably
Right.
called you somewhat similar first. At any point in that time, were you still just trying to picture what could possibly have happened, or now that you're actually getting questioned by police, and we're talking now the bureau stuff?
When CBI came to our house and were talking to us, they kind of said the comment of, there's other people who already have an outcome, right?
And yeah,
I'm assuming
her family.
her family, right?
They already.
But they probably knew a lot more about what was going on between the two of them than we did, right? So I'm still just, I was a supporter of Chris not doing this, and there's no way in hell that that's what the outcome was.
When they questioned your daughter, what were they asking her?
About like normal stuff, like, you know, How long have you known them? What was your relationship with them? And then tell us about, just like walk us through your night of when you babysat. Was anything out of the ordinary? Did anything eventful happen?
And what they were wearing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
the
took
night that she
yeah.
left.
Yeah.
They took pictures of her phone that had pictures of what they were wearing, and they showed her pictures of clothes, right?
Which that would have had to have been pretty intense for your daughter too at the time.
Yeah.
Were you guys talking to her about the disappearance, missing? Was she fully aware of what was going
100%.
on?
Yeah.
And at any moment, did she come to either one of you and say, Mom, I think I know what happened. Dad, I think I know what happened. Or was she also under the influence or under the thought process of where do they go? Wonder if they left. Did she ever say anything potentially of the outcome that involved?
No.
No, yeah. We were all in the same thought process of what is happening? Like, is this even real? Like none of it seemed real.
Right.
And then, their faces start getting plastered all over the news. And it's really like, what is happening?
Well,
Where are they?
Thank you for leading me directly into that. So when you see this news interview that he does,
I feel like this isn't even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
Tell me about that.
That was weird because since we know Chris, we know that he's not an emotional type of guy. He's very passive. So I know a lot of people were saying like he wasn't showing any emotion, like what's wrong with him. And at that point, we kind of just brushed it off as, well, that's Chris. Like, I know his family is missing and this is a crazy time, but he's not the type to be freaking out and showing emotion. So that's kind of what we thought. Like, it kind of looked like he did look a little awkward and odd.
He's a very awkward person.
But that's
Yeah.
but that's how he is. And then but then looking back in hindsight, like watching it again after knowing what happened, like he had really weird body language. He kept chuckling. I don't know, he was just really
So after the fact,
too
you noticed,
nonchalant about it.
after the fact, you noticed things that you were like, okay,
Yeah.
I didn't see that before.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, obviously there's a lot of people who've done a lot of stuff on this. Dr. Phil was one of them that did a whole presentation with it. And, he was using pronouns instead of the names and a lot of things that make sense kind of in a hindsight 2020 thing. Because it's a big story. It's the unfathomable. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys sharing this, because there's somebody's going to benefit from this. There's going to be something that comes out that, this stuff does happen and it's real. And, but what is so intriguing is the way you guys have described him, and also even that's Chris. That's the kind of demeanor that he does. I think that's really a fascinating thing. But now you are seeing these things. You have to be hearing from friends that this guy did it.
Oh yeah. Well, just reading the comments on the news after his interview, everyone after that interview thought that he did it.
They had him pegged because they had no idea who he was.
Yeah, they didn't know who he was. And we're like, no, like
It still didn't sway you.
It's different when you're inside the bubble.
Correct.
We're like,
And
no.
I had people calling me from where I worked before that also worked with him. Like, what the hell did she do? Right? Everybody was like, not surprised that she would take the kids and run.
Yeah.
Not surprised of like, just everybody was pointing at her absolutely taking the kids and running.
Yeah.
Like, because nobody would peg him as having the balls, if you will, to do something that drastic.
So even though you're hearing all this, the comments and everything, you guys still were on she just left.
Because it's the same thing. There's no way that kid is capable of doing that.
Right.
Like, there's no way. Like, the kid wouldn't smash a fly at a barbecue, right? That was the mentality he carried around.
And the dad,
he loved those kids. He loved her. He loved his world with them in it, right?
Yeah.
He was content, so it seemed.
Yeah.
With everything, right?
Which is just incredibly fascinating. Let's fast forward then to now he's getting arrested. Now what's going through your mind?
Wednesday, we're sitting hanging out with producer Chad, Obviously, everybody probably already knows we're neighbors. But we're sitting outside and just hanging out, and it's kind of a dull hangout, really dull hangout, because there's a lot of things in the air. Where are these kids? Where are these girls? Like, where is everybody? Right? And my daughter gets a text from her friend who lives in a neighborhood. Hey, I think the dad just got put in the police car. I think the dad got this. And we looked at each other like, there's no way. We're not ready to accept anything
like,
other than she left. Right? That's the only thing my brain will allow.
Right.
Is that she took the kids, she left, and they're safe. Right? And the news comes on at 9-10 o'clock. We're sitting in bed, we're watching TV, and Chad texts me. He texted me, holy shit, right? Or whatever. He said, what the fuck? And we had just saw it too.
We have breaking new details in just the last few minutes. Contact 7 Investigates is learning new details about the case of that missing pregnant mother.
We want to bring in Denver 7 investigative reporter Jace Larson, who's learning from top sources more about this investigation and the husband's involvement. Jace?
Tonight, we have learned from 2 law enforcement sources who are close to the investigation. They tell me that this husband has confessed to killing his family, and he is now detained.
And it's like, holy shit, he killed him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I got the blank stare on my face. I'm not an emotional person. Girls obviously all start crying. She starts crying. They start crying. By the time I get to the door, he's already at my door. And he's got whiskey in his hand. And it's like, looks like we're standing on the porch for a minute, right? Because I'm trying to process. I was at this fucker's house 2 days ago, trying to help find these people. Is this real? Is this not real? Is this real? Is this not real? That's the way my brain goes, right?
Yeah.
And oddly as it can be, I get up in the morning. Obviously, there's a lot of emotion that goes on overnight, right?
Right.
I get up in the morning, I'm driving to work, and the Black and Yellow fucking song comes on. Of all songs that can come on, Black and Yellow, knowing that they're Pittsburgh Steelers fans. And that's when I lost it, right?
So there's kind of like another, not a premonition, but kind of a signal, maybe a sign that Shanann was sending to Jeremy. Hey, we're okay. We are on the other side. We're safe. Because like Jeremy said, what are the odds that they would play that song in Colorado for no reason on the radio, right? I agree. Yeah, that generation says that kid, this kid, I believe, Chris was what? Was he 30 at the time? I cannot remember what his age was, but I believe that Jeremy is probably late 40s, in his 50s. And Chris was young. He may have been in his late 20s. Maybe he was 32. I can't remember. Do you guys remember? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on this, but I'm drawing a blank on Chris's age at the time. Because I know he turned, didn't he just turn 40 years old? And what? It's been 8 years. So, I mean, I would say there's a significant age difference between Jeremy and Chris. So he saw him as a kid. And also, it sounds like Chris worked under Jeremy, so I can understand where he might call him the kid. Maybe they called him that at work.
Like I just broke down crying all the way to work. I'm sitting at work. I'm sitting at my desk, and they're like, "Why the fuck are you here?" Because they all knew because of Tuesday, and they saw stuff on the news. They knew I was friends with him. A lot of people are like, "Oh, he's your neighbor." He wasn't my neighbor, but he lived close by.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at work, and they're like, "Why are you here right now? Like this isn't normal. None of this is okay." and I'm just trying to be normal.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't set in all the way. And so I was at work maybe 10 minutes before I was heading back home.
Yeah.
And they were just like, call me if you need anything. Like, and it just still trying to process it, right?
Where were your emotions at that point?
Oh, just completely
In shock.
in shock. Like, I cannot believe this is happening and that we're a part of this. And so, like, close knit a part of it. And yeah, just complete shock. And
Not know what to do at that point.
yeah.
No.
And this whole time, like our brains wouldn't let us go there, that they were not okay. And then to find out that, yeah, they're all dead and he's the one that killed them.
Yeah.
And that they were just at our house. And then he was just at his house and had normal conversations like that. Just trying to like wrap our heads around it. It was
It's a lot to process. These
so
are little
hard.
kids that you're
Yeah.
around and taking
Yeah.
care of and giving popsicles to. I
Yeah.
mean, just literally not long before. Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, just unbelievable. When did it set in for you though that it was real and that I at some point I want to go back to that picture. That when you saw the kind of that evilness or something in that picture,
Mhm.
when was that? Was that after you had heard?
It was, for me, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, either one.
For me, it was months later, right? Because I'm still on board of, okay, now I need to know how this happened. Like how? And then the story comes out of, well, I went into the room and she was strangling the kids or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so I'm still a little bit on board. I'm still a little bit on board. I was strung along with the hope of the reality wasn't what the reality was.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, okay, that makes more sense to me, right? It doesn't make sense, but it makes a little bit more sense. Because if she's that OCD and if she's that type A crazy personality, maybe you said that you wanted a divorce and she says you're not taking the kids. And this is all from news stories back in history of how this thing shakes out.
Right.
That's all that's going through my head, that there's no way that this calm, collected, no personality kid decides, I can't wait till they get home tonight.
Right.
And this is what's going to happen. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, my brain doesn't allow that.
Right.
Yeah, I still don't believe that happens.
Well, have you guys watched the movies?
Yeah.
The
Yes.
documentary?
And somebody tears it apart.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. Tell me when you watched it, because I've watched them both. Was there any part of that movie that you were just like, yeah, it either is kind of dead on, or was there holes in it, or how did you feel about that?
Well, the movie with the actors, it was both. There were parts that were true, not true, semi-true. Like, I mean,
because they were saying there was a lot of stuff that they had to fill in,
right.
and I'm sure the fill-in part wasn't quite as accurate as what it could be.
Right.
But did the storyline seem to fit what you knew?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, overall.
And as you were watching it, were you getting kind of the picture of what you then later find out actually happened? Was it nauseating to you? Was it just like, where were you at emotionally when you saw that?
Just kind of like numb. Like, it was just kind of weird because I watched, like, when all the documentation came out and all the body cam footage and all the police reports and all the digging that they did for this trial that never happened.
Yeah.
So I watched all of it because for my brain, to try and even like piece this together and make it make sense, which obviously it still doesn't, but I'm an information person. So I'm like, I have all this information at my fingertips. I want to know, like, how did this happen? Like, obviously we weren't aware of their issues, and did those issues lead up to this? And those marital issues, financial, like all this stuff comes out, and
And
there was
obviously
a lot
hidden
of
because you guys
information.
have a relationship with these people.
Yeah. So and then
Obviously.
find out that he's having an affair. And so just like all this information, comes forward that, okay, now it makes a little bit more sense because there was all this stuff behind the scenes going on that we didn't know about. So it wasn't just like, oh, they were super happy up until that night and then something happened.
Right.
It was obviously like there was a lot of things that played into this.
That they hid well. They hid well from you
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah, we had no idea.
Oops, sorry about that. I was unmiked. I am going to stop the interview there. I do want you please to go support this content creator and go watch the full video yourself on their channel. The Lifetime movie, I don't believe I did. I heard it was good through other people. Lisa, yes, I believe she was very traumatized too, as well. I would like to kind of take a look at this page too and make sure that we give as much proper credit as possible to the creator of this channel. So Truth Talks. Let's see. Truth Talks. Wow. Just about the same subscriber amount as I am. So it'd be interesting to see if he does collaborate with other content creators. I will definitely reach out, you guys, to him and see what he says. I think his name is CJ. And it says Truth Talks is a podcast that features real people telling real stories of struggle, sacrifice, and perseverance. Listen to Dr. Mitch brings these incredible stories to life. So please go show this channel some love. I'll reach out and see if they collaborate. It looks like they do quite a lot of different content. So please go be subscribing. That would be kind of you guys. Yeah. The movie was corny. I would not doubt it. Let's be honest, it's Lifetime. It's kind of like the Hallmark Lifetime-y type stuff. That's bound to happen. I am going to go ahead and end things here, you guys. I hope you had a fabulous night. Thank you for joining me. Again, on Thursday evening, I'm probably going to do my recap on the Sherilyn Cadle book. I know some people don't like Sherilyn Cadle. However, she did sit down with Chris Watts and talk. So from what I heard, the plagiarism claims are more about the description of scenery, things like that, not the letters from Christopher, because she puts those in there word for word. So I plan to do my review on that Thursday around 9:15. Tomorrow night, please join me. I'll be live streaming with Amy from Para Women Radio and with Watts the Obsession, Kelly. And I will post something shortly, probably tomorrow, to promote that. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight, and see you next time.